Good evening and welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. Another big talk about football. I cannot believe we've done 14 of these now. But welcome back to West Ham Unofficial. But before we do get into it, make sure you do subscribe. Have you subscribed? I hope you have. But if you haven't, please subscribe to West Ham Unofficial. If you are new, we are well on the way, on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could subscribe, that would be absolutely perfect. With lots of great guests coming on tonight. So make sure you do like the video if you are new. Very, very good guests coming on tonight. Let's get on into it then. We've got our first guest coming on very, very shortly. But before we do get into it, I would like to say a huge thank you to Kingsmere Surfacing. Make sure you do check them out using the second link in the description down below. Thank you very much for your help this week. And also, Canning Town Len, thank you very much. And please check out this video on Canning Town Len is your best place to buy custom portraits that you can buy for your family members. Canning Town Len does animated portraits for you and your family. So as you can see up in the top corner, here's one he did for me here. They are absolutely fantastic portraits, very realistic to yourself in their cartoon way that he does them. So please click the link in the description down below to his website, have a look, and I'd highly recommend purchasing a portrait from Canning Town Len. So here's a couple of my ones, as you can see, very realistic there for me, and here's another one he did for me as well. They are very realistic, very good, and very, very kind of realistic and good to buy. So I really advise you clicking the link in the description down below to buy one of Canning Town Len's fantastic portraits, and come on your irons. Do what little Jake says, subscribe to West Ham Unofficial. But without further ado, let's get straight on into it. We've got one of the lads over from Think Twice Medias now. James, good evening. How are you?
Very, very well, Jake. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. How's your week been?
Not too bad, to be honest with you. It was a pretty standard week. After speaking to you last week, we interviewed Peter Drury, who's a commentator that you would have known. And furthermore, it's a bit better because Man United got beat last night. And it wasn't just a normal loss. It was a loss against a club that can't even beat themselves up. So I think it's a wonderful, wonderful time to be a Liverpool fan again.
Definitely, yeah, that all caught us by surprise last night. But we've got another fan coming on who's an Arsenal fan. Michael, good evening. How are you?
Hello, mate. How you doing? All right?
Yeah, not too bad. James, I will start with you, but before we do get into it, let's go through a couple of comments. Looking forward to another great show, definitely. Jack Hatcher, good evening, everyone. I hope you are well. Jack, are we hoping for a draw in the Liverpool v Spurs game tonight, West Ham fans? Well, we'll come to James on that now. Come on, what's your thoughts on the game tonight, 8 o'clock kickoff against Spurs?
Well, look, we've not been playing well. There's no two ways about that. But the goals at Manchester United seem to be changing the perception a little bit. In terms of the team selection this evening, no Fabinho at the back for Liverpool, which I think's very interesting. Jordan Henderson comes into the team with Milner again back into that workman-like midfield. So obviously what he's doing to try and stop the rot is revert back to type of 18 months ago, where you had that solid workman-like midfield there. So he's gone back to that. But I'm not too sure on the Tottenham formation this evening, actually, Jake. I'm just looking at my notes here. No Sissoko in the starting lineup for them. And I know he's been quite a mainstay next to Holberg in the middle. So it's going to be very interesting. We tend to do well down at Tottenham the last couple of seasons. And we're due one, aren't we? I think we're due a good win.
Definitely. So Michael, coming to you as an Arsenal fan, how did you become an Arsenal fan?
Cool. Well, that's a great question already, Jake. Isn't it? You're not messing about tonight. How did I become an Arsenal fan? Mate, it was absolutely no choice of mine whatsoever. I would have joined or supported a better side than Arsenal quite easily, but all my parents and my granddad and my grandmother, they were born in North London, in between White City, which is QPR, and where the old Highbury used to be. My granddad sort of went over to Arsenal. And he used to stand on the North Bank for many years. My dad went as well. And then really I had absolutely no say in the matter whatsoever, mate, to be honest. I got chucked into the junior gunners back in '85, I think it was, when Don Howe was the Arsenal manager. Now, they say Arsenal are boring. You haven't even witnessed anything until you've watched Arsenal through the Don Howe era of the mid-'80s. Terrible football. Absolutely terrible. But, yeah, that's how it all started, mate. Not through choice, I can tell you. Just an old man like your dad is probably bludgeoning you to death to support his football team so you can have some nights out and some days out together. That's all.
We've got to debate to continue the debate, James. We've got the other James from Think Twice Medias, who is a Spurs fan. James, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Jake. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. So this leads us on to this comment here. Both Liverpool and Spurs need a result to stay in the title race with West Ham. James, as a Spurs fan, what is your thoughts on tonight's game? 8 o'clock kickoff against Liverpool.
Quite happily take a draw tonight. If I'm being, as you know, Jake, as I told you last time, I'm a realistic Tottenham fan. So I'll quite happily take a draw tonight. Keep us in and around there. We've got that extra game in hand at the moment on a couple of teams around us. For me, it's all about getting in the top four, and I think a draw tonight doesn't do us too much harm.
Very good. So James, I'm sticking with you about Spurs then. Where should your realistic? You say you're a realistic Spurs fan. Where do you think
there's no such thing, Jake. Jake, there's no such thing as a realistic Spurs fan. All right, you're gonna have to do that question again.
Here we go. Ding ding.
I mean, realistically, I just want to finish above Arsenal, but now that's already secured. I think we can start looking a bit further up the table
Round
now.
2.
Mind the gap, mate. Mind the gap.
Yeah, exactly. Realistically, this season, Jake, I think we need to be finishing that top four, get ourselves back in the Champions League. Everything's there. We've got a Champions League squad. We've got a Champions League stadium. We've got a Champions League manager. And we've got a Champions League fan base. So I think we need to be in that Champions League now. And then I think if we could pick up maybe the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, or the Europa League along the way, that would be brilliant. I'd actually sacrifice, at this point, laugh at me if you want, I would finish 5th and win the Carabao Cup over finishing 4th. I can tell you that honestly.
See, this is interesting. I know quite a few Spurs fans, and when we came behind to beat you 3-2 at Wembley in 2017, all the Spurs fans, it's a Mickey Mouse Club. Mickey Mouse Cup. No one thinks about the Carabao Cup. As soon as Spurs gets to the final of it, it's bigger than the FA Cup.
Well, yeah, but it was nice of you to win your cup final that year. It really was in a different competition this time. But yeah, no, I'm not like that, Jake. I think any tournament is there to be won. Carabao Cup is the only tournament I can remember us winning in '99 and in 2008. I hold it as quite a prestigious tournament, and any cup you're in, especially if you get to the final, you want to win it.
Definitely. So Michael, if we come back to you, how has your season been so far? I mean, didn't get off to the fantastic. Well, it did actually, not too bad, and then it just went down a very steep hill for you. Picking it back up now, but what's your overall thoughts of the season for Arsenal?
All right, Jake. All right, calm down, mate. Calm down. All right. We were very, very. If I'm going to be realistic, like the so-called Spurs fan over there, we were punching above our weight last year. How we got the FA Cup, we managed to put sort of 4 or 5 games together.
Hang on a minute. You were punching above your weight. You spent £72 million on a winger.
But I don't think we actually wanted him though.
That's not punching above your weight, is it?
Well, I mean,
how are you punching above your weight last season? You won the FA Cup more times than any club in history, and you won it last year. You spent £72 million on a winger. You spent £50 million on a centre midfielder this summer. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Lovely winning stuff, though.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
I know. So
I wouldn't know why it's like spend 72 million on a winger and finish it.
Yeah, they'll come to you in a minute, James.
Let's just talk about winning stuff first, and then we'll come back to you in about 22 years' time or something like that.
Yeah, no problem. And I guarantee you, you'll still wouldn't have won nothing. Certainly not a league title in that time.
But I'll tell you
like I
two
said,
clubs that might, Liverpool and West Ham.
I'm being realistic. I'm saying that the FA Cup, we managed to put sort of 4 or 5 games together at the end of the season.
Yep.
We played really well, to be honest with you. We did pretty well. I don't think Man City played particularly well when we beat them, but we got the FA Cup. But nothing seemed to snowball. We still had a lot of very poor players at Arsenal. The problem with football and football throughout the world now is it's an instant result game, business. So there's no patience in football anymore. And that's why I've kind of fallen out of love with it. And clubs are being run wrong. You only have to look at Chelsea, what they did to Lampard the other day. All right, we can have a laugh about it and stuff like that. To me, that is appalling. Absolutely appalling. And if they did that to Arteta, it would be the final nail in the coffin for me for being an Arsenal fan. Because you inherit and you have to buy, and it takes time. There's a process. James, Liverpool fan, Klopp didn't get it right straight away. You've got to give him time. So
I agree.
It gets worse before it gets better. It gets better before it gets worse. And Arsenal won't probably get into Europe unless we go on this amazing run now. And
Michael,
I will rip your. I'm exactly like James, the Spurs fan. I will rip your arm off for fifth.
If I was an Arsenal fan,
there's nothing to do on a Thursday night, so I'd rather watch some European football against Azerbaijan or Estonia or something like that. I don't mind.
Well, it's a double-edged
Who doesn't want to pay
$9.99
for Premier Sports to watch Plovdiv away?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not doing that.
Right,
I'd rather watch Coronation Street.
Moment. James, James, in terms of Liverpool, then, do you think that Liverpool should have invested more in the transfer window? There's still time left, but do you think they should have invested a bit more?
Well, look, the fan base is split straight down the middle with that. Klopp seems to have a bit of a history. If he's made a decision, he's going to stick to it, come rain or shine. But what Liverpool fans need to do is stick with him because his track record has always proven him to be right. It's as simple as that. It's not like, you're looking at an Arsenal or Tottenham situation at the moment where at the moment you still think they need 2 or 3 big signings to take them to that level. With Liverpool at the moment, I think we're in a great place. I think we're in a poor run of form. It happens to every club. Over 9 different leaders of the Premier League tells you that this season. But in terms of purchasing someone in that window, we need to be looking at Stefan de Vrij, for instance, from Lazio, the boy from Ajax, or even getting in someone on loan. On loan would have been perfect. Even Nevan Subotic is available on a free transfer. I'm sure he could do a job for 6 months.
Interesting. But there's been 2 debates going on in the last 10 minutes, but there's one debate that doesn't need to be talked about. No one could afford this man. He's the best centre back in the league, and there's no one doubt anything about it.
Who the hell is that?
That's big. That's big Craig Dawson, isn't it?
That is big Craig Dawson. That is big Craig Dawson.
Who?
What a brilliant example of dipping into that loan market, Jake.
Exactly.
I've absolutely never heard of that bloke.
Yeah. He played.
He's no Rob Holding, is he?
Well,
no, he was at Watford and West Brom as well.
Big Craig Dawson. Right, let's jump into the comments. Pete, good evening. It's a funny show. Pete Jake is killing himself on the mic. W&P, good evening. How are you? On the Dalek, Craig Dawson. Watford want to sell him for 3 million. To us, yeah, let's take him. Let's get him in. But we've got Michael. You did touch on the sacking of Frank Lampard, and to talk about that now, we do have Steve, who is a Chelsea fan. Steve, good evening. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Yeah. I was a Chelsea fan, I think is the expression. I think that's a better way of putting it. I have to say that I've been a Chelsea fan since the 1970 World Cup, FA Cup. And that's when I first started following them. I was a mere, 11, 12-year-old, whatever it was. And they've been through the ups and downs. And they went down to the old First Division and all the rest of it. And I remember all of that. And when we were bought out, I thought, this might be herald a good thing. But when you see how many managers this guy's got through in such a short period of time, why would anybody take the job? And interestingly, nobody would take the job when Frank took it because they had no transfer market. They couldn't do anything. They had to work with what they got, and he worked with what they got and got them into the Champions League, which to be honest with you, is the equivalent of winning the league for a first-year manager in the Premier League. Not many first-year managers in the Premier League or in the elite leagues in Europe has got that far. And to turn around and then just say, no, let's get rid of him because he's on a poor run. Well, he's not on a poor run. It's the 25 overpaid wannabes that are on a poor run. They are just embarrassment. They're not playing. You can say that that they've lost. Frank's lost the dressing room. I'm sorry, the dressing room has lost the manager. If you're signed by a manager who wants you to play for him, you bloody well play for him. You don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. 300 million. And Frank, what? I'm with you, James. We. Other teams have spent a lot of money, interestingly, and they never get the flack for it. But that's a whole different ball game.
Like Man United.
Yeah, they spend a lot of money. Liverpool actually over the years have spent a lot of money.
Net spend doesn't say that though.
No,
net spend puts us 18th in the Premier League. It's yeah, but I see what you're saying with Chelsea. It's money. Abramovich has put that much interest into it.
If we spend £3.50, it makes the headlines. It's that sort of thing. And I say we because I'm not sure whether it is we anymore or not. Because I've read so many comments from pure Chelsea supporters who are saying, I'm never going to Stamford Bridge again. Because they're so disgusted with the way Frank's been treated.
I think it's very easy to never go to Stamford Bridge at the moment because you simply can't. But football fans are fickle, particularly a toxic fan base like Chelsea's. I mean, I saw people today that on Twitter and things like that, and they were saying how much they love Tuchel now just off of one press conference. I mean, they're so fickle. Yeah, not necessarily yourself. You're obviously an old school, been around the block Chelsea fan, seen it, done it. But it's this young, new generation of Chelsea fan, a proper Chelsea fan, not these internet, Twitter Chelsea fans that have been a Chelsea fan since Mourinho was there and wouldn't know who Terry Dixon was if you walked up and slapped him in the face. It's that sort of thing, and football fans so fickle. Lampard, in fairness, he definitely deserved to stay. But at the same time, if you're a businessman like Roman Abramovich, who's one of the most successful businessmen in the world, you don't get anywhere like he's done by leaving something to be unsuccessful after you've invested heavily into it. It's just business to him, unfortunately. And there's no friends in business. What Lampard's done for him was one season at Chelsea last year, got them back in the Champions League where really they should be anyway. And 10 years ago, they winning the Champions League, or 9 years ago, whenever it was. But that's old news to Abramovich. He's probably done worse things to other people that have probably done more for him in his business career in the past. It's just business to him.
I can understand that, but I mean we've had it. If you know a little bit about the Chelsea background, about 3-4 years ago, Abramovich said, "I'm not getting involved with the club anymore." They put this Mariana,
right,
whatever her name is, in charge. It's a separate business. It's not part of his empire anymore. He's basically sold it over, and it's been run by the board. And then he's still interfering. I don't get it.
Yeah. Unless it wasn't his decision to make, wasn't his decision, and maybe they allowed him to make that decision personally to Lampard as a sort of a respect thing.
Might have been, but I mean, I think they were talking about bringing somebody in, to help as a director of football, if you want to call it that, because being inexperienced, effectively. He could have done with an older head on his in the background helping him out.
Then Steve, that never stopped Lampard with his two pen of when he was a player, though. And how many managers have you had removed due to player power? And now this has come back and bit him on the ass, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
He's now got players not playing for him, and he was one of the first ones to say that a manager, I'm not playing. Him, Terry, Dobber, and all that, they would get through managers for fun, for not playing for them. If they didn't didn't like the way they trained, they get through. In fact, I've got no sympathy for Chelsea fans or you, Steve, because you sent me off in the semi-final in 1992 as well.
Well, you must have deserved it. You must have deserved it. If there's any consolation, I'm still doing it.
Oh yeah. I wish the FA took your badge away years ago, you horrible git.
No. They gave me a gold one.
Did they?
A bit like blood donating, blood donating. When you do your 50th, you get a gold badge.
Not every tackle was a yellow. All right, let's just say that. All right,
Yeah, it is.
You did have to send me off in that semi-final.
Mike, have you watched the Premier League recently? Every tackle.
No, I follow Rovers now. I absolutely despise the Premier League. I can't stand it.
Jake, what's next?
At the weekend, I now watch the EFL program before I watch Match of the Day.
Yeah, I can't stand the Premier League. I've just gone off it. They don't even know how to follow COVID rules. What's the point in even watching them play football?
No.
Well, I mean, it's easy to go off the Premier League, Michael, when you're an Arsenal fan. I mean, that's clear.
Yeah, Premier League, James. Premier League. All right. How many years is it, son?
Just to jump in, we've got a couple more fans coming out, and we've got Gary, who's an Arsenal fan. Good evening, Gary.
Hello.
I'm good.
Nice to see you, Gary. Looking well, mate.
Thank you.
Michael, just to finish with you, we've got this comment here. Does Fordy still love our Ozil?
I know who that's from. As you know, Fordy was never in love with Ozil, but when I was a member and I did go, when I watched Ozil for the first 2 seasons, and I was down there about sort of 12, anything between 12 to 20 times. I went down quite a lot, and Ozil was a good player. I'm not gonna dismiss that. He lost players with Ozil. That's the problem. He needed the Sanchez's. He needed the players that he could play off. He hit a vein of players that were no good, and he didn't excel. They were looking for something that Ozil just couldn't do. Wenger got players to play with Ozil, and the other managers just didn't. I fell out of love with him, like a lot of Arsenal fans. But we signed him. He won the FA Cup 3 times. It was an acrimonious sort of terrible ending to move on, but good riddance, really. Too much money. Didn't want to earn the crust properly.
Wasn't allowed to.
Well, good. If you can't track back, it's no good, is it? In a modern game.
Interesting. So just to finish up in terms of Liverpool, James. Now this is the big question that everybody is asking. Do you really think Liverpool can finish above West Ham this season?
Well, the question is West Ham, can they finish above Liverpool? I mean, all of you on the screen, we've got more Premier League and European trophies than you all combined. So until you come to that level, then there's no debate, is there? But as far as I'm concerned, West Ham are playing well this season. They're doing very well indeed. The key for you guys is, can you stay consistent? Can you stay injury-free? Will Liverpool's form pick up? It will. And ultimately, can you keep hold of your big guys in the summer? But one thing's for sure, David Moyes has done a very good job there. He went in there under a cloud from his previous campaign as West Ham manager. I think he's done very well. Can you finish above Liverpool this season? Absolutely not. No chance. But what West Ham being slightly higher in the league.
That's plenty. Jake, can I just stop just before I go? I've got to go in a sec. Sorry, West Ham must be one of the richest sides in the Premier League at the moment, aren't they? If I remember that your owners, I mean, I don't know how old you are and how this will affect your ratings on this particular trail, but they are owned by pornographers, and with a lot of the country in lockdown at the moment, I could see that this is going to be boom time for the West Ham board. You should be, you could probably get Neymar at the moment, the amount of money you lot get.
Well, the bottom line is they don't spend it, and that's it. But Michael, James, and James, thank you very much.
Thanks,
cheers, boys.
I had a lot of debate.
Thank you. Bye now, mate.
Lads.
Bye.
So to jump now into League One, then and we've got let's take that out of there. West Ham did take on Doncaster in the FA Cup 4th round last week, and he came on to preview the game. He's come back on to review the game. Jake, thanks for waiting. Good evening, mate.
Good evening.
So, I'm agreeing to you. So just before I come to you, Gary, if I come to you in terms of Arsenal, let's have your thoughts on. You've played Southampton 2 times in 5 days. Let's have your thoughts on both of those games.
Very pleased with the Premier League game, but very disappointed with the FA Cup game because over the last last 4 or 5 years, it's been sort of Arsenal's competition, the FA Cup. So yeah, very disappointed to go out this early in the FA Cup.
Yeah. For me, I've got to admit I was supporting Southampton in that game. But very good. So Jake, if I come to you, you were knocked out of the FA Cup against a very, I do have to say, a rotated and very good West Ham side last weekend. What was your thoughts on that? And were you proud of your boys out there?
I was proud, yeah. It was going to be a tough game. You're on a very good form, good winning form, and you're pushing for Europe. And we knew coming into the game it wasn't going to be really easy, and the boys had a really tough task. But I'm kind of a little bit happy now we're out of the FA Cup, so we can focus on getting automatics to the Championship, and try and get up to the Championship it's a tough task, but I know we can do it this season. We're gonna. It's probably the best season we've had for years, so I'm hoping we can do it this year.
Yeah. Steve, if we come back to you in terms of Chelsea, how important is it for Tuchel to settle in quickly for Chelsea's sake?
Well, he's interesting. He got quite a short contract, relatively speaking. I think he's only got an 18-month contract, something like that, which is unusual. Doubtless, if he wins his first game, it'll be extended to 5 years, and then Abramovich can pay him off when he sacks him after 6 months. But of course, they've got to settle in quickly, because if they don't settle in quickly and start actually putting some points on the board, they're never going to make the gap up. They should be able to make the gap up with the quality of players we have there. If they actually, it's one of those things. It's a bit like Liverpool a little while ago. Once Liverpool clicked. Whether this guy's the right guy to do it, I've got no idea. He comes with a pretty impressive track record, but I'm not sort of, shall we say, I'm not holding my breath. There's a little bit of me that like him to fail, really, and that's an awful thing to say as a Chelsea supporter. But I really would, quite like him to fail, because this was a stitch up. It's interesting. He left PSG on Christmas Day, I think, and on January the 27th, he's at Chelsea. Well, I'm sorry, I've had job interviews that take longer than that. To actually take a job up like that. So he's flavour of the month at the moment. How long that month is going to last will be very interesting. If he doesn't start putting points on the board, it's going to be a very short month.
So Gary, if we come back to you, then did you think that Arsenal needed to bring anyone else in the transfer window?
I think we could do with another defender, for sure. But we'll wait to see what the new sign. He's only a loan player, but whether the new Odegaard can bring a bit more strength in defence for us, because Luiz is. He's there to fill a gap, but it's not forever. He's knocking on, but we do need some strength at the back, I think.
Yeah. So Steve, in terms of Chelsea, Peach is in the chat saying, "Give us Gilmore already." I think your youth is one thing that you can hold on to at the moment, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but then Tuchel's first team, he dropped Mount. The 3 English players that have been actually the consistent players this season were all out of the team, and the team did nothing without them. Mason Mount was captain in the last game and then dropped for the next game, and I don't get what's going on, because I can see what we're going to do. We're going to do another Kevin De Bruyne with these young English players, and we're going to go, oh, they're not good enough for our. We've nurtured them through the academy. We've let them play a few games. They're England internationals, but they're not good enough for us. Let's get rid of them. And then the likes of Arsenal or Man City or Man United will snap them up for 65 million. These guys are going to win the European Cup 7 times. And that's typical of what we do at the moment.
Lampard did like to rotate it quite a bit, didn't he? But I know he had injuries to start off with. But in his last weeks, he was rotating because Werner wasn't scoring. So he'd bring Abraham on, and it wasn't they need the regular games to play as a unit, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, Mason Mount has played every game this season, and
he's your best player at the moment.
Yeah, best player far and away, and I can just see it happening. We'll get rid of him in the summer. He'll go in the summer either because he's not getting game time or because somebody thinks his face doesn't fit, and it'll be we'll sell him for 7 million, and then 2 years or 6 months later he'll go to Man City for 65 million, and then beat all comers. And as a Chelsea fan, there's a litany of talented players that we've got rid of, and Mourinho started it. He was the worst. If he didn't like you, he shipped you out. And I mean, he was the money that guy.
Doing a bit of that at Tottenham as well.
Yeah. And okay, you could say he's brought on some, he's brought through some good players at Tottenham. There's quite a few players there that are playing much better than they used to play. But I'm not terribly confident in the rest of the season, having seen the Wolves game.
Yeah. So Jake, coming back to you, you touched on it in your point about the West Ham game. Do you think that you can get promotion this season? I've seen on your Instagram you're like 3rd or 4th at the moment, so it's going well for you. But do you think that's on for you?
Yeah, it's very on. We've had run of form with played 7 games, won 8 of them. We're up there with 4th. We've got 3 games in hand over the team in 2nd. So, and our form, we've brought some 2 players in this week, 2 class players, John Bostock and Josh Sims from Southampton. So, we can definitely get promotion. It's been our goal this season, and a lot of Rovers fans, I say, didn't really think be this high this time of season. A lot of Rovers fans were thinking, we're pushing.
Oh, I think we've lost him. Oh, are you there? Oh, okay. I'm sure Jake will be back in a minute. But just a few comments to go through. Jack says, as soon as Mount and Pulisic came on, Chelsea looked much more dangerous in the second half. Football Brownie. Good evening, Adam. How are you? Hi, Jake. Hope you're well. Congrats on the 550. Thank you very much. Jack, great shout. Peach Gilmore on loan to West Ham will do. WMP says, I'm looking forwards to the Chelsea summer sale of young players. Could be good for us at West Ham. So just to round off then, I think Jake's just gone. So let's hope he comes back. But in the meantime, Gary, coming to you for your final question. Considering kind of the middle patch you had this season, what do you think is a good finish for you?
Oh, we've got to be in Europe. So 6 or above, we've got to be in Europe. I mean, we've still got a chance of getting in the Champions League if we win the Europa Cup. But I'm not holding out any hope. But we need to be in Europe in some form or another in this period that they're calling a rebuild, which should have never have happened. We should have still been up there if Wenger hadn't messed about, and they should have, But yeah. That's the past. You've got to look for the future.
But Gary, isn't it always the same that these managers that become legends, if you want to call them that? Alex Ferguson did the same at Man United. He left them with a dire team.
Yeah,
and he stayed on longer than he should. And Wenger stayed on longer than he should. Really, didn't leave the club in a good position. He left when he knew he was. He was going to be up against it, and he put somebody else up against it instead.
Yeah, it's a shame that managers like that don't. They love the team so much. I mean, after Wenger's Arsenal through and through, and Ferguson's Man United through and through. So why didn't they have the gumption in them to call it a day early,
Or
Well-
why didn't they have the gumption in them to bring in somebody, let's say, like Eddie Howe from Bournemouth,
Yeah.
and actually bring him through as the next manager? And
Oh, yeah.
clubs doing what Liverpool used to do, the old Liverpool boot room, where every manager from Liverpool came through the ranks and understood the
Yeah.
club. And, the ethos carried on throughout. What's happening now?
They're all looking for the most successful person around the globe, and that's
Yeah. But what's happening is that you have, let's go down this road, and then we'll change the manager, and we'll go down this road, and then we'll change the manager. And there's no consistency with the club ethos anymore, and so therefore clubs will struggle when long-term managers or even medium-term managers leave, because they want to go in a completely different direction.
And then when your club falls, like Arsenal's has, they
Yeah.
can't get the managers because they they're not they're no longer a top six club.
That's right. It's the old self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? If it's harder to attract players when you're not in the Champions League or in Europe, and so therefore you can't attract the players. So therefore, can you get into Europe because you haven't got the good players? And it just goes on and on and on, doesn't it?
At the end of the season, beginning of next season, West Ham are probably going to be able to attract better players than Arsenal are if they finish above Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So Gary and Steve, done a great debate for about 10 minutes there. Thank you very much for joining me tonight.
No problem.
You're welcome.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Cheers, Jake.
Thanks, Steve. So we've got a very, very special guest coming on now. We've got our first ex-Hammer on the channel. 5 appearances for the club, 1 clean sheet. Now that gives you a bit of a hint. We've got a few West Ham fans in the chat, and Kent has joined us just in time for our very special guest. Good evening, Kent, and thank you very much for giving me your voucher in Russ's quiz earlier. That was greatly appreciated. But you've got a treat from me now, Kent. We've got a former West Ham player from a couple of years a couple of years ago. It is Ian Fiore. Ian, good evening. How are you? Oh, Ian, you're on mute.
How you doing, pal?
There
I'm good.
we go. Good evening, Ian. How are you?
I'm good. Just out here in sunny California.
Not envious of you at all out there. How's it going out there?
It's good. We're still locked down, and we're trying to get through this crazy year that we've had. So I think we're all in the same boat. Same in England. I've heard the news, and but we're doing the best we can.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. My first former West Ham player on the channel. So thank you very much.
I'm honored to be the first. Thank you.
So let's get into it then. So let's go back to the start. What was it like? And how did you sign for West Ham United?
I started my career. I moved from Europe. I moved from America to Europe at age 16 to try my luck as a footballer. And I signed in Belgium with FC Bruges when I was 16, and then I was on the youth team there. And then at 17, I signed professional for them, and moved up the ranks with FC Bruges. And then West Ham came in for me, and I had a trial with West Ham, and they signed me. So it was a major dream come true. I mean, my whole life, my dream was to play in the Premiership, and it came true. And to be with a club like West Ham with such tradition, and for me, the best fans, supporters, in the world, it was simply just, there's no words that can describe it.
Yeah. How did that all come about? You said you were in Germany for that, but how did it come about? And did you did you think, wow, that absolutely amazing to kind of come to the Premiership and to come to West Ham?
Yeah, I was in, like I said, I was in Belgium and with FC Bruges, and West Ham, saw me playing, and at the time it was Redknapp. Harry Redknapp was the manager. But it was just before Billy Bonds left, so I was there just the last maybe month. So it was Billy Bonds and Redknapp, and they asked me to come out on trial, and I trained for an hour in front of them, and I personally thought I didn't do too well. And after my trial, hour and a half trial, Redknapp just said, if you want to come to West Ham, we would be honored to have you. And that's all it took, you know. I mean, to sign for such a club was just a dream.
Yeah, definitely. For you, you were there whilst Di Canio was at West Ham, and I was told that you played quite a big part in perhaps the best goal anybody's ever seen from a West Ham player in a West Ham shirt. Just explain to us how that kind of happened and how you were involved with that.
Yeah, well, that's my claim to fame. I mean, I'm kind of saying it tongue in cheek, but what is a crazy story is the week before he scored that goal. During training every day, we were playing small-sided games, and a cross would come in, and if he ran onto it, he could head it, but he would stall a little bit and do that scissor kick kind of thing that he did. And he would hit one over the bar, and he would hit one right at me. Then he would hit the post, and then after training, that whole week he would go, big man, or he called me Nano Bastardo, which means little bastard in Italian. That was my nickname from him. So he would ask me after training, get in goal, and you'd have a player just serve crosses to him, and he would do that kick, and it was almost like he had a vision that he was going to score that goal. So we did this all week, and we're going, what the hell is he doing? Even Harry was like, what is he doing? Like, so all of a sudden Trev Sinclair Sinks gets the ball outside, and I'm telling you that I don't think Trevor gets enough credit, because that ball he pinged into to Paolo was simply amazing. And as the cross came in, I'm sitting there and I'm going, he's going to do it. I saw the way he was lining up, because I saw it all week, and he lines it up and he hits that shot. And I get goosebumps even talking about it now. And what is a bummer is he scored the goal and he celebrates a little bit. And then if the camera goes back to the replay, but if the camera stayed on it, Paolo actually jumps in my arms, because I was like, all right, we trained all week about it. So jokingly, I say I helped score that goal, but I had nothing to do with it, really. I just I was honored to be on the same pitch as that player. He was such a legend.
Yeah. There's a lot of love for you in the chat. Peaches, I'm very surprised to see you tonight. You're only looking an inch bigger. Ian, how tall are you?
I am 6'7", 240 pounds.
Well, that's like double me, I have to say.
Yeah.
P-O-M-G. Russ is in the house. Ian is a top man.
Hello. Thank you, Russ.
WMP, love this. Thanks, Ian. So we've got a guest who looks pretty kind of well about that. Mike, who comes on quite a lot. Mike, what's your reaction to that? That's a great story.
Oh, great story. Yeah, excellent stuff. What a goal. I'll never forget that.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and he was just for me personally, he was such an inspiration. He was the most professional player I've ever known. I mean, from eating to training to doing extra. And what's great was we would all be at our team dinners. Let's say we were playing away at Man U or whatever game away, and most of the players would just eat and go back to their rooms. And Paolo would always enjoy his food. It's a very Italian culture, and he would sit there and he would have his pasta with his olive oil and butter, and then he would just have his little moment, and I would just always wait for everybody to leave, and it'd be like him talking to a few players, and I would ask him questions of his Lazio days when he was on the terraces of Lazio, and when he was a player there, and AC Milan and all that. And he was just, for me personally, such a inspiration, and his passion was second to none. I mean, there's stories. For instance, we played at Arsenal, and I remember Ray Parler scored a goal. We lost 1-0, and his passion. He and the referee, he called a bad call, and I think they scored off either a free kick or I can't remember, but they scored off the call from the referee. And I remember we come in the locker room after, and his passion, he was crying. He was so irate. And some people think, well, you got to be calm. You're paid. And for me, it was beautiful to see that there was that much passion. And I modeled myself off of that, and I played with the same passion. And, there's nothing that we can do as players. I mean, as players, we have to understand that the supporters that come out is where it's at. That's what makes a club.
Yep.
And you have to respect that. And, I think to see Paolo, someone of his stature that gave so much passion and so much he truly loves West Ham. He truly loves West Ham.
Apparently, he could have went to Man United. I think. Alex Ferguson, putting an offer for him, but he turned it down to stay at West Ham. So just shows how much he loves the club, really.
Total legend, complete legend. One of my favorite players.
Yeah, definitely. W&P, we're quite shell shocked with that story. And obviously, knowing Paolo Di Canio must have been an absolute. I mean, for me, Mike, he was one of the best players to ever put on a West Ham shirt. And Ian, I mean, it must have been kind of memorable for you to, see him day in, day out.
Yes, I mean, like I said, just watching him train and the things he could do with the ball. He was arrogant yet humble. He was confident. He had every single thing that a player needs, and he had the flash, but then he also had the simplicity, and again, there's just no words to describe it. And he kind of took me under his wing and just guided me a lot, and I appreciate that. So I'll always be forever grateful for that, man.
Yeah. Mike, have you got any questions to ask Ian before we get our next guest on?
I was going to ask about Di Canio, actually. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you. It's unbelievable, wasn't it? Yeah. But, the passion of the man was just unbelievable, like you say. I've seen a lot of great players at West Ham over the years. I've been lucky enough, to see Trevor Booking score a go at Wembley. I was there for that. Do you think we can win the FA Cup this year?
I think we just have, I think we have that certain energy and chemistry that wins FA Cups. Okay. I think we're a couple players short of winning the Premiership, obviously, but I think when it comes to the FA Cup, you have a one-game situation, and I think we have that energy to beat any team right now. And if we can keep that going, I think we could. And, you need a little bit of luck here and there. You need a call or a ball hitting the post and going out, and a ball hitting the post for us and going in. But I think we have that energy and chemistry, and David Moyes, the manager, is done well in terms of creating that. And I was listening to the previous guests earlier, and I think one of the things missing from football these days is the local understanding of what each city represents. West Ham is a very unique area, okay, and unique supporters, and it's very passionate. And literally, if you ask any West Ham fan, what is the main thing you need from the players? It's 100% commitment. That's it. You don't have to score 50 goals. You literally have to give every single thing you have on the pitch, and they will love you. And when you do that, you can create amazing things. And I think so many teams now are about just signing the best players. That doesn't win you things. You got to have a chemistry, and you have a passion. When things are going against you, you find that passion. And the supporters, when I was playing there, or sitting the bench, or involved, that's what they showed. I mean, it was the passion is just. I try to explain it to people in America, and I go, take whatever game you've ever been to here, times it by 1,000. That's what a West Ham game is like.
Yeah, well, Mike, I'm sure you'll back Ian's point up there. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of passionate players over the years, the types of Billy Bonds and whatever I've watched, and Julian Dix, and I mean, a lot of players, like I say, Di Canio, just give everything. They run through a brick wall for the team. Like I say, the fans see that, and they'll always get behind you. Whoever you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's pretty. In my eyes, it's pretty simple. I mean, just give everything you got.
Yeah.
They'll love you.
Yeah, we've got another fan coming on now that obviously before COVID we'd also go to football with. Jack, good evening. How are you?
How are we doing, Jake? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. We've got we are lucky enough to have Ian on tonight. Have you got any questions to ask Ian?
Not at the moment. I've just been listening for the last 10 minutes. I mean, it's just incredible the story that he's got, and yeah, it's just unbelievable. He's obviously done his acting and stuff. So nothing but jealousy of the career that you had. I think I've missed the boat for football now, so can only dream about what you've seen in the dressing rooms and on the pitch and the away days and all that. So enjoy the memories.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And like I said, it was a dream come true. And here's a really ironic story: is my mother's dad, my grandfather, who I never met. He died when my mother was, I think, about 18. My mother's from Canada, and I remember my mom came to the first West Ham game, and the, Forever Blowing Bubbles was playing, and my mom is, singing along. And she's like, she stopped herself for a second. And she's like, why am I singing along to this? And then all of a sudden it clicked. She goes, her dad was from London.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it clicked. She goes, wait, that's what my dad used to sing to me as a lullaby. So even though having never met my grandfather, if you put two and two together, I mean, it's about 199.9% positive he was a West Ham fan.
Absolutely.
So here's me, whatever, 30 years later, playing for West Ham, or, and that's just like a crazy story as well. So, even though I've never met my grandfather, I would love to be able to ask him, but I'm pretty sure he was a West Ham fan too. So to end up at West Ham, as my first club was a little feather in the cap for my grandpa,
Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into the comments. The first one here, Rob says, I heard Ian Fiore played the Predator in Alien v Predator. And I do believe that's true, Ian.
That is very true. That is one of my other claim to fame. Yes.
Wow.
It was a crazy moment. It was just, I knew the producer for the movie via football. And they were doing the movie, and he calls me up. And he's like, hey, what are you doing next week? We have you ever seen the movie Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you want to play the Predator in the next movie? And I was like, sure. And that's really how it went. It was being 6'7". They needed someone, tall, kind of athletic basketball build. And they could roll around and do somersaults and do the head whip that the Predator does. And, it was kind of a fun moment. It was really hard work. It was a lot of, sitting in awkward positions for, 20 minutes at a time. But it was kind of a funny story that, you can always bring up at the pub or the restaurants. And, it's like, yeah, he played the Predator. Like my wife will be like, yeah, he played the Predator. I'm like, okay, make sure you preface it with the movie The Predator, not like,
you got to be careful with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to be known as a predator. You'll make sure you're the famous one.
So, it was a fun story, and it was just, something that's, kind of a good story.
Yeah.
I bet you wish you could have kept the costume.
You know what? I do. I have one of the masks upstairs.
Do you?
Yeah. There's about 5 costumes, and they're all owned by Fox Studios. So it was hard to get one, but yeah, one day I might have to sneak into the office and borrow or something.
Kent here said, I've met Paolo. Always got times. Always got time for the man. Top man he is. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt. About kind of Paolo Di Canio. I mean, the best player that's ever put on a West Ham shirt. Kent, is my memory right that Ian played in the London 5/6 aside tournament? I think he did. Is that correct?
Were you asking me? Yes, that was correct. Yeah, that was kind of my right after I signed for the club, they threw me in there, and I remember that was kind of fun. It was intimidating because it's like the goals were like 3 foot tall by 8 feet wide, or like they were normal width, but then they were only like 3 feet tall, so the crossbar came up to like my hip And I'm like, wow, okay, just shoot everything low. And I remember I made one save, and the commentator compared it to like the Gordon Banks save. It was like a deflection, and then I came across, and it wasn't as good as the Gordon Banks, but it was it helped because I remember Harry Redknapp was like, wow, okay, this kid's pretty good.
So Jack, if we come to you then, how did you become a West Ham fan?
Well, probably like most fellas, it comes from the old man. So from an early age, it was embedded in us that we'd be West Ham fans. And if you see a Tottenham fan from an early age, then you don't be friends with them. I think that's the standard for most lads. Way into it, West Ham. We seem to get maybe 9 years now. And been travelling a long way, like I know you do. We've been coming up from Brighton for the last sort of 7-8 years, and we actually got our first season ticket when we went down in 2011. When we that was the year that we actually decided to commit and get a seat in the Trevor Brooking, which you can see I've actually put at the back my original seat from Upton Park. I don't know if you've got yours, if you ever had one, but that is the most important thing I will ever own.
Yeah, very good. So Jack, who's your favourite all-time player for you?
I mean, I'm Mark Noble through and through, but I have to tell you, the Carlos Tevez days is up there with some of the best. Just the way that we stayed up, and the way that he brought to us. I absolutely just love Tevez, and I think I always will, even though he's a bit of a character. What he did and the way that we signed him and everything, just a bit. I loved it. So it's Tevez and Noble, but I'll always be Noble through and through. And I just his days at the club are limited, and it'll be a sad day when he leaves because he is definitely a legend and he's my favourite.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a couple more fans coming on now. They both run YouTube channel themselves. But first we've got Ben. Make sure I'm sure most of you subscribe to him, but make sure you go over subscribe to Ben's channel. Ben, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for having me on again, mate. Hope you're well.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Ben, I don't know if you heard it, but we were just talking about Ian on here just said about his story with the Paolo Di Canio goal. He was involved with that. I mean, the stories that Ian's got, they're just absolutely incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Obviously, I was a very young boy back then. I'm only 26. I would have been like six or seven years of age and whatnot. So it's obviously nice to develop an understanding of what happened, like back then. My question for you, Ian, and pleasure to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Is obviously at West Ham right now, we've got a lot of leaders, not just captain, but Craig Dawson is supposed to be a leader off the pitch. He's well known, he's liked among the group. You've got obviously Declan Rice, who's more, sort of on the pitch captain, but probably going to be club captain eventually. Not Mark Noble or Bonner. There's a lot of experienced lads. Who were those kind of players, those leaders in that era back then? Like, they didn't have to be captains, but maybe like Craig Dawson, leaders off the pitch.
Yeah. Well, my first spell, Julian Dix was. He was the Terminator. He was someone to just be respected. He would be the first guy I would have going into battle. Julian Dix was just a great friend, but someone I really, really looked up to. And his passion, again, he's West Ham through and through, and his passion was just simply amazing. My second spell, I know it's cliche, but it goes back to, Di Canio. I mean, the guy he just led the team, and what an inspiration. So I was, just blessed. I mean, if you look at my two spells and you look at the players and the teams, you had, Ian Bishop, John, like all these players. It was such an honor to be part of such tradition, and just amazing players,
Yeah, definitely. We've got a couple more fans coming on now. Another one runs a channel from the Anvil. Make sure you go over and subscribe. James, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, not too bad. We've got Ian on. He had some fantastic stories. James, have you got a question for Ian?
Yeah. Obviously, he came over to West Ham from the States. What do you say were your biggest challenges in adapting to the English game?
I think one was just I was the first American goalkeeper to sign in the Premier League. So I think the biggest challenge was getting over the I guess, people just basically thinking, go back and play basketball, go back and play football, American football, gridiron. So I had to not just be as good, I had to be better than what they had. So it was I was representing myself, I was representing my country, that it was an unknown area that is kind of been tapped into. So it was difficult in the beginning, albeit I was in Belgium 5 years previous, and it was a similar situation where, as Americans back then, we were looked on as like, this is not your sport. You can go back home and all that. So that was the toughest thing. But at the same time, what made it really nice was I just have such a passion for the English people. They're the most welcoming, the most, just down to earth people. I mean, my first, I moved into my house and my first day, just everyone knew somehow I was a West Ham player. And, I had people washing my car, just thanking me for signing for West, it was just crazy. And wherever I went, we would just be, we couldn't pay our tab at a restaurant, you know what I mean? And just the welcoming was just amazing. And, the banter and the I'm a pretty funny kind of jokester and prankster. So, I fell right into the English humor and all that. So, it made it a lot easier, but being a young kid, in a foreign country, it's always tough and you make the best, but every time you step on the pitch, my love was football, and then my love immediately was West Ham, and so once you step on the pitch in the training ground or whatever, it all makes sense.
Yeah, honestly, Ian, we could talk for hours about the stories because I'm sure you've got many. But Jack, if I come to you, we were meant in April to be going up to Newcastle. Hopefully we'll do it one day, mate.
What a weekend. What was it? Good Friday weekend, wasn't it? So it would have been, I think we had them on a Friday night. It would have been it would have been amazing. And it's one of the grounds I've not done. I don't know if you boys have been, but I'm not really looking forward to going up those stairs to the away end.
Yeah, that was one thing. Really looking forward to that. But if
What
we
was
kind of,
Go on.
I'm sorry, Jack, go on.
I said, what was the last game that you went to, Jake, with me? Get Arsenal away.
It was, yeah, Arsenal away just before lockdown, wasn't it?
What was that? That's absolutely. It's not a great memory. That's why I was worried. We've ended on a loss, but now look at us. We're absolutely flying, and I ain't got to travel as far. I'm getting a win, so I'm loving it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. But let's kind of head into this season. So, Ian, as kind of a follower of West Ham, obviously played for West Ham. How do you think we've done this season? I mean, it's been incredible for us West Ham fans. We're not used to it.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a nosebleed. I think it's kind of strange looking on the tables and seeing us in fourth place. So what's nice is I touched on it earlier is football is not about just having the best players. It's about a chemistry. It's about players that play for the team and play for the culture of the club. Like I said, immediately I fell in love, not just West Ham, but also the culture of the club. When you walk around the ground back at Upton Park, you got the chippies, you got the locals, you got and that's what makes the club, and I used to, every game I'd have a cup of tea with the lady that cleaned the locker rooms, and that's where it's at. So I think if we can get back to getting homegrown players in the squads, I would love that personally. That understand the culture, that have gone through the ranks, that have grown up on the terraces, and then all of a sudden become players for the team. And I think that's where it's at. Because when you look, you can have I don't want to mention any names, but there's certain players in some of the bigger clubs. They're great when the team's winning. and they're great when things are going well. And then all of a sudden, they're 1-0 down, and they got to grind out something, and they can't, because they just go, well, I'm making $1 million a week, I can, if I don't work hard, it's okay, because you know what? I'll get transferred to PSG in 2 years and make triple the money. So I think, I would love to get back to the culture of the club, and like I said, each city has their own little culture, and for me, mine was fortunate enough to be West Ham, and I fell in love with it. So, when you have that, I think the passion, that's when it really comes through. And I think David Moyes has found that within the team, and the boys are playing with some passion.
They are.
They're grinding out results,
Definitely.
and that's what it's about, And so I'm praying it continues. Hopefully the bubble doesn't pop, as they say. But yeah, we're gonna, hopefully we can get in. I mean, at this moment, we should be thinking, all right, let's try and get into Europe. And that's,
100%.
if we can hold on to that, to get a good run in the FA Cup, and we can go from there. But we got some good players, and yeah, I'm excited for this season.
Yeah, and so am I. So I'm going to show one image now. Ben, I'm going to start with you. Can this happen?
I love that.
Can it happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's what all West Ham fans want. I think, whilst we're doing fantastic in the league, and and I want us to push for Europe. If I had to choose, then I would prioritise the FA Cup. However, we have got a strong squad. We have a thin squad, but it's a very strong squad. And if we can get 1 or 2 players through the door, even if it is Lingard and hopefully a striker, we do have the opportunity where we're in a position in the league where we can probably go for both. Where in other years, where we've sort of been used to a relegation battle come January, right? We've had to spend money because we've been used to a relegation battle. We've kind of had to prioritise our league, sort of starting 11 and the teams we put out in the league, and then sort of maybe rotate the cup more often due to the fact of trying to stay in the division. Now we're not in that, and we're sort of in a position where we can attack the league as well as attack the FA Cup. So I think it most definitely can happen. I feel like there's something special with this squad. I think the difference mainly between the 2015, the Boleyn squad, and this squad is this squad knows how to win ugly. This squad can keep clean sheets, where the 2015, whilst I feel like the team spirit was there, as well as this team has got team spirit, I feel like, that team back then, we had to score, outscore opponents. We might have had to win 4-3. We might have had to win 3-2. This team knows how to win, I feel like at times comfortably, with results shown at Leicester and Wolves, but we can also grind out the 1-0s, the 2-1s, and I feel like it can definitely happen. It can definitely happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. James, coming to you. Can it happen? The FA Cup?
Absolutely. I mean, I would love to see Martin Noble lift an FA Cup in what could be his final season at West Ham. It'd be the perfect way for him to bow out first and foremost, but definitely we can win the FA Cup. And as Ben was hinting at, it is quite reminiscent of the 2015-16 season in the sense of the FA Cup run and the push on for Europe. But what I do feel that is a lot better about this season compared to then is that we're not relying on individuals to make an impact on games. And there's the real team spirit going around. That's what Moyes wants. He wants everybody to be responsible for each other and have that team spirit all over the place. And we've seen it. 6 wins to start off 2021. We've shut up the critics saying that we'd be relegated. And the fact that Moyes is doing this on a shoestring budget as well, which this is mentioned time and time again, the fact that he's doing it with little to no backing from the board is even more incredible. We can do the FA Cup because we don't have to fear anybody. We don't have to be scared of anybody going forward, and we can push on to get Europe as well. The possibility as to where we can finish as it stands is very, very high and unlimited.
Definitely. Yeah, and Mike, coming to you. I mean, we've touched on it on previews and these shows before, but I genuinely think that I am going to have a lot of hope. If we get past Man United, for me, I think it is most certainly 100% on.
Yeah, we don't need to fear Man United, especially watching them last night. That should give us a bit more hope. They are well beatable. And I think we should have beat them at home. That ball was a yard out. And, I think that made a big difference in that game. You know, we should have ripped them. We did rip them to pieces in the first 20 minutes of that game. We just didn't take our chances. If we can start doing that, like the other night against Palace, if Antonio had a bit more luck and those two and the post and had gone in, I mean, I keep saying it, but we are going to smack 5 or 6 into someone one day. You know, great.
Absolutely.
I understand the lads are saying we have ground out results this year and we don't rely on one man. We're not relying on Payet, Pullis out of, you know, Moyer every time. We've got a team and they're all working hard together. I hear they go back, you know, do extra stints after training. I heard Yarmolenko comes back with the 2 Czech boys and he's putting in extra minutes because he wants to get in the team. That's what I want to hear, those sort of things. You know, I know we don't always give a great demeanour when he's on the pitch, but you hear that, you know, someone like that's doing it. You know, he's taking example from the 2 Czech boys who really work hard and all the rest of them are. And Moyes has instilled that in the whole team. And it's a great team effort at the moment. And I love it. I love watching us win. I'd love to see it be easy. You know, we get 3 or 4 up and relax. But it's a new West Ham. To you know, I've been watching them for over 50 years. You know, and I was in the 70s and whatever, used to win games 5-3. You know, it's quite a normal thing. And the normal thing was we used to come down with the trimmings at Christmas. You know, it was, you know, it happened year after year. But I'm really hopeful this year we're going to dig in and stay there and maybe get that cut run and get to Wembley again.
Definitely. And Jack, yes or no? It's going to be on Jack, isn't it?
I mean, I want to go Europe away days. I want to do Europe, and I just don't think I can bear West Ham in the FA Cup final and winning it, and there being no fans. I'd rather we get to Europe, and then maybe next year I can go Fenerbahce away with the boys. I'm not sure, but
that'd be unreal.
I just don't
Turkish
know.
fans are immense.
If we win an FA Cup, Mark Noble, and there's no fans there, is it special? I just think. Let's get this season. Let's get 5th, 6th, maybe 4th. FA Cup good run. Do United because we owe them after the whole Paya game, and you know we should have done them that game. And let's get the Europe next year when there's going to be some fans in. Because like I said, Fenerbahce away. I don't even know they're in Europe, but that's a game in my head that I fancy.
Yeah. So Ian, we're going to dive into the comments now. We haven't gone into them for a while. There's a few questions for you, Ian. So Robert has gone. Question for Ian. What was the most hostile atmosphere you experienced away from Upton Park?
Away from Upton Park. I mean, usually it's some of the smaller grounds. You know, the FA Cups and that. You know. They're just a little tighter, the fans, you know, they're a little bit, a little closer, and, you know, you can hear a few more things that they say to you. Upton Park, man, it's hard to beat that. I miss the old girl, you know, like that place was just special. So it's hard to even answer that question because Upton Park was such a fortress, such a, just amazing ground. I mean, it had everything, you know, it had everything. It was tight. It was intimidating, you know, and so I'm kind of at a loss to say anything's better than Upton Park, you know, in terms of intimidation.
Good answer.
Good answer.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, that was just. I knew players like friends of mine that played for other clubs, and they weren't happy coming up Park on a Tuesday night FA Cup, you know, 7:30 kickoff, 7:45 kickoff.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you know. Meanwhile, we were like, "Yep, here we go. Let's do this." You know, so Upton Park it's for me. It's where it's at. You know.
Yeah. Ben, you can't deny the atmosphere at Upton Park when it was kind of rocking really on kind of nights, Tuesday nights, when at Friday nights it was incredible.
If you're an outside mid or left back, I mean, that chicken run, I mean, I don't envy you.
Yeah, I get often quite asked, you know, what was the best atmosphere, you know, in terms of Upton Park. And, you know, I've actually struggled to answer this before because there's been so many occasions. But Robert actually reminded me of the Ipswich game playoff final that Matthew Everton scored the screamer, and then Christian Daly scored that little like tap in from like 5 yards, and we went to Millennium Stadium. That was probably, you know, the pinnacle, I think, in terms of, as well as the last game at the Boleyn, as atmosphere goes. And I do miss it. I do miss it because obviously I could imagine, imagine if we were still at the Boleyn and and we were in this position. And when it comes to the crunch, I do feel like we would have that slight 1 or 2% because of the fans are closer. We would be a little bit more intimidating for opposition fans and opposition players coming. I miss it. I miss it. It was one of the most underrated Premier League grounds ever. I miss it. I miss it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, James,
I think everyone
could
does.
you imagine? James, this season, could you just imagine actually being in there? What the atmosphere would be like this season? Honestly, James, it would have been incredible. Oh, James, you there?
It'd be pandemonium week in, week out. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
You got me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. As I was saying, there'd be absolute pandemonium week in, week out. The whole of the East End of London would be absolutely rocking, as was the case anyway when Upton Park was there. The sheer intimidation that the fans would give and that sheer passion of a load of West Ham fans all crammed together, that is what made Upton Park Upton Park. It's the fact that it was an intimidating place for any team to go. And if it were still around today, I miss it so much. If it still were around today, it would be a very menacing place for a lot of teams to come to. And I mean, we are a menacing team now to play up against, but the atmosphere of the Boleyn would have made that 10 times more impactful.
I'm completely agree with you. Ian, there's a few more questions for you. Robert said, Ian, who did you room with?
My first spell was I roomed with Ludo, the legend that he is.
Quality.
That guy kept me out of the team, man. I loved him and hated him at the same time. He was a legend. I mean, what an inspiration. What a keeper. I mean, amazing goalkeeper. And my second spell was with Les Seeley. So I was with Les Seeley on my second spell, but again, complete character, great guy. And what a sad day when that happened. I was still there when that happened, and those are my roommates.
Yeah. Kent has said, was the second American keeper to sign in the Premier League, Casey Keller, Millwall to Leicester. Kent, I mean, you know everything, so I'll take your word for that. Jack has said here, what was your favourite game you played for West Ham?
I mean, my debut was obviously special at Derby County. We won 2-1. I had a few saves that I felt, kind of helped the team and that, and just that was probably my that was, man, what a special moment. But then the debut, that was away at Derby, but then to walk out my next game at Upton Park and hear, forever blowing bubbles as you walk out was just, there's no words. And to play in front of, the Bobby Moore and the chicken, it was just incredible to be able to experience that. And it's something that I'll forever, cherish.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that Upton Park it's nice to hear, like, from a player's perspective, that it's still like how it was, Ian. That it did kind of how incredible it was. Kieran said even the coach drive for away teams was intimidating coming in. Yeah, especially Man United's trip.
Yeah.
Trip from the hotel.
Yeah. Remember that well.
Yeah. Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Jesse Lingard screaming.
Robert says, Ian, did you have to undergo any did you undergo any ceremony
initiation?
A couple players tried it with me, and I just said, look, you can try it with me, but I will one day slowly make you miserable. I was a little bit bigger than most players, so most of them were pretty calm. I've had other clubs that tried it, but yeah, they tried it. A couple players tried it with me, but they soon backed down. I held my own.
Kent says, Upton Park will always be home to me because that's where I was brought up. I've been back there since. Heartbreaking to see. Yeah. I mean, my
Yeah, I
first
bet.
game was 2013. So obviously, all of you guys on here and in the comments has had thousands, hundreds of more memories at Upton Park. But Mike, if we come on, you come on the preview shows quite a lot. I mean, we talk about O'Connor, we talk about Ben Ramel, we talk about a man that's actually joined us tonight. The one and only Craig Dawson.
Thought he might appear in a moment.
Yeah, but what do you think, Mike? Mike, what do you think it's all been down to? Because Moyes, I mean, what a job he's done.
Oh, Moyes has been terrific, really. You know, when he came the first time and kept us up, believe it or not, I know everyone else could say this, but I did say we should have kept him then. Pellegrini wasn't the right pick at the time. Pellegrini needed a Man City team. We had some Man City players, albeit they might have been over the hill at the time, like the likes of Zabaleta and whatever. But Moyes, I just knew he would get that team together and he'd make us robust. He'd make us difficult to beat. And you've got to start somewhere. And he's done it with a defence. He did it at the start of the season. After we'd have lost the first couple of games, he made us strong at the back. And you've got to build. You've got to start somewhere. And he made us difficult to beat. And now we're playing some lovely football. It's great to watch. And that has just got, you know, through confidence of, hang on, we're hard to beat. You know what I mean? We can get results. We're going to be safe. Now let's get out there and play. And that's what he's done. He's built it up slowly. Watching Ben Rama the other night, I really do rate that guy. I just needs a go. And I think he'll bang in 3 or 4. I really do. In no time. It's just great to watch it. I mean, the other night, 3-2. Did that flatter Palace or what? I mean, you know, we should have beaten them 4-5-1. No problem. But, you know, it's just, even if we'd have drawn that game or whatever, it's still progress. You know, the football what they're playing now. You know, the intensity. I mean, Creswell's going in, he's winning a ball in front of his man, he's knocking it off with 2 or 3 passes, and we're in on goal. You know,
he's been class Creswell recently.
Yeah, he's been brilliant.
Yeah,
and
Creswell's
I mean,
absolutely been so improved
Rice
this
is a
season.
Rolls Royce of a footballer, I think, and we really do need to try and hang on to him. And if we do, you know, maybe some more players, you know, in his class start looking at us. You know, if we can make progress, we can start getting guys in to this team, you know, that can take us and maybe push for that Champions League position. I don't think we'll quite make that this year, to be truthful. I think 6th or 7th would be a good season. It'd be great if we could get to a cup final. Okay, no fans would be a nightmare. But, you know, it just progress. And Moyes needs to be given a bit more time. And I think, you know, we can push for the top 4 eventually.
Definitely, yeah. Jack, coming to you. There's been a lot of kind of videos on YouTube today about the comparison to the 15-16 11 to our kind of 11 squad now. Jack, who do you think's been better? Obviously, Ben touched on we are now very much more defensively kind of strong. But do you prefer kind of our squad and how we're doing it now to that memorable season 5 years ago?
I mean, that was a memorable season. We all know it. That was some world-class football that we might not see that level again. This year, I think 4-0 for me is someone that I personally gave a bit of grief in the stands, and he reminds me a bit of Dirk Kuyt. He puts graft in, and it is paying off, and I respect him for that. I think he could do with some more assists and stuff, but I like where we're at now. I mean, 6 wins in a row as a West Ham fan. When you're going through isolation and all this, it's buzzing because I know a lot of fans who are miserable at the moment, and it's getting me through. And I prefer this season. I think we've got real potential because other teams are really struggling, and we seem to just capitalise on that. And yeah, I'm well excited, to be honest. I'm riding the wave. If we get done at United away, it is what it is. But I just think I think we need to spend a little bit of money or get a loan signing in. Just if Antonio goes, then so does my confidence. That's for me. If he goes, it's all gone. But if he rides it out, we really could be top 4, and I mean that.
Yeah, definitely. James, coming to you, how important do you think that it's kind of been this season that we've got the defence and the midfield and kind of the attacking element superb as well, and it's just been absolutely superb, and it's just happy hammers at the moment, James, isn't it? Oh, James, you there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole unit is sorted out. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Cheers.
You in?
Yeah.
Good. Sorry about that, man. Yeah, I heard your question. It's all good. Yeah, so what you're saying there, Jake, yeah, the whole team in general, each department's strong now. Each department's strong in terms of physical presence and contribution on the pitch, but not necessarily in depth. I think that we still do need a few more players in to add to that depth and also to have as a backup option. But yeah, going back to what you were saying though, Jake, yeah, everyone is absolutely doing a fantastic job. And the midfield in particular has been my personal highlight because I've noticed most of the activities going on in the midfield anyway. Most of the battles are being won in the midfield. We've got Rice and Souček, who have formed a phenomenal partnership. We've got Ben Rama, who I call him this lot on my channel. I call him the engine behind our attacking system because of his flair, pace, trickery, and skill set. And the way that Ben Rama's physical impact is in games, it's showing that statistics don't necessarily define a player because he works very hard and it's only going to be a matter of time before the goals and assists come. Everybody in the defence is solid. Ogbonna and Dawson have formed an old school centre-back duo. We've got Sofal who moved. And I think that if I have to pick something, the midfield in general, that's where all the beauties happen. That's where the passes have been. That's where the assists have been from. That's where all the creativity comes from. And we've got creative players in that midfield who are making it entertaining and helping to score goals and win games.
Yeah, Ian, just out of kind of just out of a question for you, Ian. How do you think that? I mean, you played with some absolutely cracking players in your time. Obviously, Canio's been mentioned on here quite a lot. How do you think they kind of relate to some of the players we've got at the moment? Ben Rama's coming through, Rice, Souček, all of these players. How do you think they compare? The kind of age of when you played.
Well, I just see a passion again. That's the simple, it's simple as that. I mean, you see passion again, and you look at Souček. He's come in, and he's just right away. He just had a passion. So and you look at Antonio, like some of the players, and that's the chemistry that I'm loving. And again, that's what makes West Ham is that passion for the club. And when players, it's hard to explain. When players come into the club, they come into the club kind of naive. They don't understand it, and you either fall in love with it, or you kind of go, okay, whatever, I can just play and get along. But if you tap into the passion that is West Ham, it actually raises your game. And I think that we have a bunch of players that have found that passion, and it's actually raised their game. Where we've had players in the past that are just picking up a paycheck, not to be disrespectful, but they're picking up a paycheck and whatever, I'll get traded for another and I'll be fine. But if you tap into that passion that is West Ham, you actually become a better player, which is what happened to me. I mean, I understand it fully. So I'm seeing a lot of these players, and I'm really excited. And I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I get it. I mean, we're on a good run now, and hopefully it'll last. We're going to go through a spell at some point. We're going to go through a spell, but I think, we get a good run in the cup and a good run in the league, and, hopefully the owners will build. And I think we're in a great position. If you're an outsider looking in, you have a massive stadium, you have massive support. And I know we're not playing in front of fans now, but in general, we have a massive support every game. The pieces are there to build a European team that plays in Europe every year. The pieces are there. Okay. So I think, with a good run this year, I think we could pick up a few good top players. I think, I can't remember if it was Jack or someone mentioned before, before we're always fighting relegation, and at Christmas time, we're trying to, trade or buy players. And the players know we're in a relegation battle, so it's tough to sign. So you're not getting the top players. Now we're in a position where we can start attracting some top players. And if we get one or two, that's going to change a lot for the club. And then the next phase is hang on to them and not sell them to the other clubs. When I was at West Ham, my second spell, I mean, you're talking, Rio Ferdinand, Frank Lampard, Joe Cole, you name the whole squad, we're just selling them off.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of where we would be if we kept that squad, not to go back into the past, but I mean, if we're in a position now where, we keep the players, we add players, we get rid of the players that don't have the passion. And I think we're in a great position now. If we do things right, a couple of years from now, we could be, pretty good force.
Definitely. Mike, I think it's so refreshing to hear this, because I think that if we keep on saying it, if we get 2 to 3 players in, Mike, I genuinely think that we are up there. We really are.
Yeah, he needs backing now. Moyes does. I think what more can he do, really? He just needs the owners to get behind him now. We don't know everything that's happening. Why we can't sign a player, but why do we have to wait to the 29th of the month every time to get a player in? They've got to get this done earlier. Yeah, Haller didn't fit, and he had to go. I totally understand that. He didn't fit the system. He didn't fit Moyes' way. We needed someone else in, but we should have had someone else lined up by now. We're desperate for another striker. I mean, it's a must, really. I can understand the Lindegaard thing. I think Moyes has worked with him obviously in the past when he was at Man United, and he likes him, and he thinks he can do a job. But we've got enough of them number 10s. We just need another striker. That is my worry. Is Antonio hamstring is going to go ping again, and we miss that guy so much. We will. He is the focal point.
100%.
He is the focal point of the attack. You could bang it up to him and it sticks. And Haller never stuck, did it? Let's face it. He wasn't that sort of player. So, that is my worry. It's a real make or break time of the season. If we can keep him fit and bring another striker in, and help him out a little bit, and we can push on and go for it. I really do think we can. But it is a must. We've got to get someone in, and it's getting a bit late now, and 2 or 3 days left.
Yeah. Well, so guys, I'm going to ask you if you could buy if you could buy 2 of the millions of players we've been linked with, who would they be? Jack, we'll start with you. Would Lingard be in there?
I don't like Lingard. I mean, he was laughed at at United. I don't rate him, but if he's English kid coming in, he could do a good job under Moyes. That's about it. I'm sceptical, but we need someone.
Yeah, well, it's getting desperate now, isn't it? And I just think it's so poor from kind of the people up top, because I think we sold Haller on the 12th or 13th of January. We've had 2 weeks to buy a striker. And yet again, typical West Ham, we've been linked with about 3 million strikers. Ben, if you could pick one out-and-out striker, who would it be?
I would go Patson Daka. And the reason why is because I think Red Bull Salzburg have got such a good reputation in terms of players that have left that club and transitioned in the Premier League. You've got Naby Keita, you've got Sadio Mane, Erling Haaland at Borussia Dortmund. You've got Dominic Szoboszlai, I absolutely butchered his name, but he's joined Red Bull Leipzig. Hwang Hee-chan, he's at Red Bull Leipzig. So obviously there is there's a feeder club going on there, but I just would, considering his characteristics, I understand that he's in a more attacking team than what he would be at West Ham. However, his raw pace, getting into the channels which Antonio offers, I would probably say, because of their reputation as well of these young players, I would probably take the gamble. If I was going to spend 25 million on a striker and he was going to be someone from overseas, based on reputation from developing talent, it would be Patson Daka.
Yeah, but I think we had that stage for a week where we were heavily linked with Daka and Dia, and the more it goes on, obviously, the more that it's unlikely to happen. We needed to bring Daka or Dia in at the time. But before we finally dive into the comments, James, I'd ask you if you could pick one of the millions of strikers that have been linked with West Ham, who would you pick? Go.
Patson Daka, same as Ben, because pretty much replicating what Ben said here. My other point I'd like to add is RB Leipzig and the Red Bull model is the thing that Moyes wants to replicate at West Ham. It's the thing that he constantly goes on about, talking about bringing in younger players from the ground up, producing them at West Ham, keeping them on, and getting them to go elsewhere and be potentially even better, but for a good fee. I think that Daka really would suit the West Ham team because he's someone that could link up well with Antonio. His goal-scoring record is really good for RB, so he would be a very good option to have. He's experienced in European football, which is where we want to go. He is, dare I say, affordable, even though the board would probably disagree. And he's the kind of player that we'd want. And like I say, it's because Moyes wants this RB model at West Ham, it would make sense to sign an RB player, and Daka would suit the ticket.
Yeah. Right, so for the final time, we'll dive into the comments, and then we'll wrap this up. So there's a few questions for you, Ian. Let's go then. So Kieran has asked, Ian, who's the best centre back you played with?
I mean, Igor and Rio, they were amazing. So I don't know if you can get better than that. I mean, for me, they were just solid. They both made, to have Rio Ferdinand and Igor Stimac right in front of you, it made your decisions so easy. They were just always in great positions. And yeah, I mean, for sure, those two, yeah.
Yeah. Kent here has said, we are playing best in 5 years, molding Benrahma into the player he wants, but he's still creative, but it's working so fitter and stronger. Yeah, we do look absolutely fitter and stronger. Definitely, I think. So Robert, really good to see the different YouTube channels collaborating with all the family. We are definitely and we've got a question here for you, Ian. What's the feeling like to save a penalty?
It's amazing. I actually saved in my career. I actually saved a lot of penalty kicks, and I don't know how I did it. There's no recipe. It's just a feel on that last split second. And, I try to intimidate the hell out of the forward by being as big as I can, which is not difficult because I'm pretty big. But, it's I have a picture. It wasn't with West Ham. It was with another club, Luton Town, that I played for. And there's a picture of as the guy took the kick, as I hit my hand, and then after it hit my hand. And behind the goal was the away fans. And you see these people about to celebrate, and then you see it's a really cool pick because you can just pick one person out and just, they go from this to like this and like and like fingers and yeah. It was great. So I think they say it's one of the hardest things in sports to do. So to save a penalty kick was special, and I had one. Fortunately, it was in the last minute of a game to win it, and so it's a pretty special feeling.
Yeah. Neil here said, with Ben Daka for me. Is he done? James? I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jake, but I've got something quite big to report. Fourth have just tweeted this.
What's happening? Have we signed Lingard? Oh,
and Jesse's brother also. Well, Jesse's brother just commented this on his Instagram story as well.
It looks like we've got Ian's last positive, isn't it? So yeah, very very good. Dad says, did Ian ever go up for a corner if
I did, and it's a lot of running. I'm not a long distance runner, so yeah, I did. We had a corner. I went up, corner went out. I went back, and then we got another corner about a minute later, and I was just like, I was gassed. I couldn't even run anymore. So that's one of the reasons I went in goal is I hate running. So yeah. I got an assist in the FA Cup one time off a corner, so that's my claim to fame, I guess, as a forward.
Very good. Guys, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight. Mike, James, Ben, Jack, and of course, Ian. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for you all for coming on tonight.
It's been great.
No worries, Jake, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Guys,
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
thanks, Ian, mate. Really appreciated.
Oh, that was great, mate. You did well. That was awesome. That was fun.
Thank you very much. So we'll wrap the show up here. Please subscribe to West Ham Unofficial if you are new. Make sure you go down below, check out Kingsmere Surfacing and Canning Town Len. Thanks to everyone in the chat. I do apologise that we haven't gone through every single comment tonight. There's been loads of comments, and of course, we've had Ian on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for watching, and come on your irons.